KZOZ-FM San Luis Obispo rocks.
When's you your wife next vacation together? Is it soon or is it off in the distance?
We don't have one scheduled right now. Like we're going to go somewhere for a week. No, we don't have anything right now.
It's kind of different because you guys live with your sister-in-law too. I'm imagining she would not go on vacation.
No, she'll probably stay back. She does eat a lot of dinners with us. Like anytime we go out to dinner, she's there. Anytime we do stuff, she's there. But
like, what if your wife said to you? She said, "Oh yeah, we're going on vacation. My sister's going to come with." You'd be like, "No, we live with her. We need a vacation away from her."
I think taking vacation.
I want to go. I want to set foot in a place where I can keep my shoes on in the building. Okay.
Hey, I can keep my shoes on. She got me these Asian woman slippers. That's what it reminds me of. Like, I'm going to put on a little house coat with flowers on.
Hey, by the way, all you race baiters out there, that's not racist because I dated a girl once and her mom had those slippers everywhere.
Yeah, they're called clouds. That's what I wear in the house.
75% of Americans prefer to clean the house before going on vacation. Do you guys do this before you go on vacation?
My wife is big on this. Yes. I like to mow the grass and make sure the outside is good because we're going to be gone for at least a week. So,
right. Well, that's super important too. And I think that falls under the category of cleaning the house. But like the mowing the grass, like you get back and you didn't do that before you went. Oh my God.
You got a headache.
You're dealing with a jungle, So, yeah, I mean, you have to do that.
She is really big on, making sure that everything is washed, put away. The pillows are fluffed on the couch. She goes, what if something happens to us when we're gone? I don't want people walking in and thinking, oh, my God, look at these slobs.
That is exactly my wife's rationale on that.
Number one, you would never let our house look like we're slobs because you're yelling at me all the time if I leave a jacket out. Go hang it up in the closet. I can't even put it on the chair for a minute.
Does it get to levels where it's like militant? Like for us, it does because like we always have somebody watch the house, and it's usually like a coworker or friends of the kids, older siblings, or a family friend will be watching the house, and it's like deep clean, and it's to the point where I dread going on vacations because I know for the weeks prior to the vacation, it is going to be a constant deep clean, change the air filter in the furnace, like all this, wipe down the ceiling fans and like the stuff that gets overlooked on your routine daily.
That seems a little like the ceiling fans. That seems a little unless it needs to be done because it hasn't been done in a long time. I mean, that just seems like
no.
It's like
it gets done weekly.
Your wife is almost still, like on the schedule, like on daylight savings time. She go around and change all the batteries in the smoke detector.
Well, no, because the smoke detectors suck now. Yeah. They're 10-year smoke detectors. And then you have to buy a new one for like $50. You're like, dude, that's dumb. Like, I remember when smoke detector was like $6.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
yes, you had to change a 9-volt battery in them twice a year, but BFD, okay? It was like, I'd rather do that because now I look like that and LED lights. I look at these things and I'm like, I don't know. Like we have recessed LED lights in our ceiling. I've never, ever changed a recessed LED light, and I'm dreading the day, and they last forever, right? But I'm dreading the day one of them goes out because I have no idea how to put one in because with 3 years in this house, it's got to happen sometime soon.
Well, it all depends on the fixture itself because we had one in our last house. It was almost like a fluorescent type connection, even though it was a can light. And then, but the new ones now, they have a new thing, which is pretty cool. And I think you just screw it in like a light bulb, and that's the wire, and then your light goes up underneath it. I've seen, my buddy has them, and then they just fit right over where the old hole was for the light. So you take the old light bulb out, this new fixture goes on, and it has a lid and a lens and everything, but it just screws right in. So if you have that fitting. You got to talk to somebody at Home Depot. And Home Depot isn't what it used to be, right? Home Depot, they used to have these old guys there. They knew everything. They knew every screw, nut, bolt.
That's why, honest to God.
Now you got young people, and they're like, let me get on the phone. Let me get on the radio.
I know that it has changed ownership, but they've kind of kept the same name, although it's a different variation of the name, but they're so much more helpful. Osh. Outdoor supply hardware.
Oh, yeah. I've always
not Orchard.
Even when they were Orchard, I used to.
Yeah,
it was local guys. That was the thing. They were, well, everybody's local, right? They lived there. But these guys had worked there for 20, 30 years. Like, I remember we
local guys that care about their trade, you know.
Right. And when we lived in Grover Beach, and we'd always leave the door open, but we had the slider closed for bugs. And my dog would go up, and when he wanted to go outside, he had this bad habit of rubbing his foot on the screen door. Well, he tore a hole in it. So I went over there, and I was talking to him over there, like, yeah, bring it over here. And so we brought the door over there, $25. The guy had it fixed in like 10 minutes. Put a whole new screen in. And
that's incredible.
I was like, and then when they were going out of business, I was so disappointed. I'm like, this sucks. So I was glad to see when they came back over there, which I always called the Osh Shopping Center, to do their thing. And it was the new Osh. But yeah, they're still a great store.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I had to find an Allen a screw for a furniture screw, and I went all kinds of places, and like Home Depot was like, yeah, no, we don't do that. Lowe's, no, we don't do that. I went to Ace, and he's like, oh God, we got something close, but you know where you should try is Outdoor Supply Hardware. I was like, okay. I went over there. They had 6 different kinds I could choose from. I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, now they have, and they've had them for a while, but they have, the torque head screws, the Allen screws, the Star screws. I mean, whatever happened just to an old-fashioned flathead or a Phillips, right? Now you got all these,
It's, believe me, as somebody who spent a good part of the last 18 months taking apart a deck that was built in the 80s and refurbished over that time.
What kind of screws were those?
You name it.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Every kind of screw. You know how many screwdrivers and drill head bits I've bought, and it's like sets upon sets as a result of that. But anyways, this study also found that people start planning for their vacation up to 2 weeks in advance. 2 weeks in 14 days out is when they start planning and start packing.
Oh, when they start preparing, you mean? Because I'm sure the plan for the vacation sometimes can be a year or two ahead.
Right.
Which drives me nuts. I don't want to think about something for a year or two. I want to think about something maybe 6 months.
Oh, I like it. I like to do it anywhere between 3 and 6 months, because then you get excited about it. Now, if you think about it for too long, you can do too much research, and then you feel like you've already been there.
Yeah. Or you're like, I don't want to go there. Like, I've seen too many YouTube videos. Like when we went to Jamaica, and then all of a sudden I found out we were staying at beaches, and I started looking at beaches. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. No, we don't want to do this. It's a bunch of little kids.
I don't know if we've ever shared this on the air. We're running out of time, but when we come back, will you tell me the story of the transport grift? I don't know if you've told this on the air or if you just told this to me in person, but either way, it bears repeating. The transport grift of getting you to the resort, and then when you guys had to leave early because of something that happened back home, like how ridiculous.
I don't know if it's a scam, but it was
a scam.
It's BS.
It was a full-on scam.
It was BS.
It was a Jamaican scam.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOZ.
So we went to Jamaica a couple of years back. It was a family trip. My grandma kind of set up all the flights and transportation. What do they call that? Transports, shuttles, whatever, to and from the resort.
Yeah, they pick. It's the worst. Like, you get it set up from the place that whether it's a cruise, whether it's a resort, and they're like, oh, we provide ground transportation. Oh my gosh, don't ever do that. I remember once I was sitting. We had a whole, like, the slow safe ride buses, the big ones.
Yeah. Like
the veterans transport that they do to Los Angeles twice a week. Like they'll hold like 70, 80 people in it. We get picked up at our hotel out by the airport in Miami, and where our cruise was leaving out of the port, which the airport and the port are very far apart in Miami. And the guy picks us up, and we're like, okay, we get on the bus. We were thinking, okay, we're like the first ones here. No, we were the only ones. It was such a waste. We were the only ones getting picked up to go to the cruise on this bus for 80 people. We're like, you're not picking anybody up? He's like, no, it's just you guys today. I'm like, what the hell? How inefficient is this?
So
I got my money's worth.
We had to go to the far west side. So you kind of land, when you go to Jamaica, you kind of land in the middle, maybe a little bit to the east. And we had to go to Negril, which apparently that's where the resort was. Negril, yeah. It was, and it was nice. They had nice white sandy beaches. And apparently all of Jamaica is not like that, but that is probably why they built the resort there. But anyways, so, we get there and we have to wait forever for the shuttle. We're like hanging out in this little like room, and they've got like, some coffee, they got Red Stripe beer, and they got some snacks or whatever. And finally they're like, all right, your bus is here. So we follow this person all the way outside. We get on the bus and they're taking us, and it's it's like an hour and a half to get to the resort. So we're like, all right. So we're driving through, and next thing I know, we kind of turn off the main road and we're going through this little town. And I'm like, why is he doing this? Because it seemed like this highway that was going along the ocean there. But he's like, oh, it's a shortcut. And so we go through this town, and these people are walking around. There's goats running all over the street. There's a woman with a basket on her head. I mean, it looks like National Geographic. Somebody says, hey, I got to pee. And he's like, oh, no, we're not stopping here. This is not safe to pee here. You're going to have to wait another hour. And then he goes, just kidding. We'll stop here in like 15, 20 minutes. There's a safe place where you won't get killed. And so then he continues on. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. And, he's giving out free beers, so I'm happy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had a little cooler up there. And I had two. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was an hour and a half. I probably could have drank a lot more. Yeah, right.
That's for the tip. You have to tip if you take the free beer.
So anyway,
the tip's probably going to be more than if you would have just paid for the beer outright.
Running through all these, he goes, oh yeah, today's the market day where everybody comes out and they buy stuff. And so it was just kind of a crazy day. And I'm just like, all right. And a lot of people are in the streets and nobody's driving. And there's dogs and goats running around everywhere. And it's just kind of, what the hell? This is not what I saw in the brochure. So then we end up coming back away from the group. We ended up leaving a couple days early to come back. And so I had the hotel called an Uber to come get us. And this guy shows up, and he brand new car. It's really nice. It's pretty early in the morning, but we go a completely different way. We just stay along the highway, and we get there in like 50 minutes, not an hour and a half. And so it's like maybe 45 minutes. And we never went through any towns. And he was talking about growing up there and playing soccer. And he's like, this is my old high school over here. And I'm like, well, this is.
He's driving you through a neighborhood with mansions and well manicured lawns and nice subdivisions.
We were driving around with people carrying baskets on their head. He's like, that's a tourist thing. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He says, I mean, people still live that way, but that's like the poorest community in Jamaica. That's inland. And so I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, those bus drivers, they'll do that to you. It was a shuttle company anyways. He got us right to the airport.
Yeah, because they're instructed by the resort to do that because they want to scare the hell out of you. So you stay in your resort the whole time and spend the money
that's what they
at
said.
the resort
big
the whole
gates.
time.
They're like, don't leave the resort. It's not safe, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they ever said the words not safe, but they don't recommend it, is what they said.
Yeah. We are not responsible for whatever happens to you, including dismemberment, something along those lines.
And it's an all-inclusive resort, but there's still things like I didn't understand. We were getting scammed at the resort. Like, we'd go to the bar, and I'm like, can I get, I'll take another, I don't know. I think I was drinking vodka with something. And they're like, all right, that'll be so much. I'm like, well, no, we're staying here. This is, last time it was free. He goes, oh, no, but after a certain time, it's not free anymore. I'm like, what? So I'm like, never mind. I got booze in the room. So I went back.
This is the problem with vacationing in other countries. Like, we have standards here.
That never happens, by the way, in Mexico. I've been to Cabo like almost 20 years. I've never been over like that.
That did happen to me in Mexico when I was young. When I was 19, and we booked a hotel stay because they said you get 2 hours of free drinks every night. I was like, okay, well, we don't have to go all inclusive. All inclusive is a lot of money, so we were staying at, I don't know, some hotel. I was like, but this place gives you 2 hours of free drinks every night. And I get there and I ask the guy at the counter about the 2 hours of free drinks every night because that's why we booked the hotel. He's like, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore. It's like, but what are you gonna do? You can't argue.
Where were you at in Mexico?
Argue.
Were you in Cancun? Were you
It was
in
Cancun? Yeah, it was in Cancun. Yeah.
They knew you were coming in. You dumb Americans.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. It's like, well, it's said right here. And he's like, yeah, we don't do it anymore. Sorry. What are you going to do about it?
Take everything with a grain of salt, or just don't buy everything they're selling.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOZ.
You ever, or did you ever cut the crust off the sandwiches of your bread when you ate a sandwich as a kid? Or did your mom do that for you?
I don't think so. I think I've always been okay with crust. I know I do that. I did do that for my kids. Now they both are moved past it.
Oh, you did? What? They didn't like crust or something?
Yeah, my daughter used to want the crust cut off her sandwiches.
Where did she learn that from? But she had to learn that somewhere. Because, see, at my house, I remember...
I know exactly what it was.
I think I was 10 years
kid.
old before I figured out that you could do that. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty actually nice. But nobody likes the crust that much. But
the other kids at school have their parents do it, and then they see it, and then they're like, oh, that looks interesting. Why don't you do that for me, Dad? And then I'm like, well, because, we don't want to waste. I mean, hell, I've heard reports that we're going to be out of food by the end of the year.
Oh no,
you got to eat those. You got to eat those crusts, man.
Yeah, cutting crust off your bread. Weird stuff that we did as a kid, like sleeping. Well, my wife has to sleep with a nightlight on, which it makes sense. That way you don't get up and trip and hurt yourself. Do you guys have a nightlight in your house?
Only because of the kids. Only because of the kids. We have one in the hallway that's on. They each have one-ish in their room. My daughter doesn't have one in her room, but she's she's getting older, so she wants to have these LED lights that go along the top of her closet. They make the room look really cool. But it's an annoyance because it looks like a dance club in there. Yeah,
I was going to ask you, because you go to Home Depot a lot, if you ever saw any cool things for nightlights. Because, most of the nightlights, I really wanted to get those ones that had the LED nightlights in them that were in the outlet covers, and they shined on the floor. Cause it's that's all I need. I just want to. I've stubbed my toe too many damn times to where it drives me nuts.
No, and it is nice. It is nice to have a little bit of light, and that's good because that points down at the floor. The problem is, I don't know. You sleep so much better in the dark. I just get this feeling that you sleep so much better in the dark. But when you wake up in the dark too, like we do, it makes it very difficult because you go to get out of bed, and if you set something down where when you went to bed the night before, then you're stepping on it. Reading glasses all the time. I step on my reading glasses all the time because we don't have a nightlight in our room. We have one in the hallway, but we don't have one in our room.
Sitting here kind of talking about stuff that you still have that you did as a kid, like your crust off your sandwich or your nightlight or whatever. I have a friend who still watches cartoons. And he watches the new cartoons. He's 54 years old, and he watches them online, but very strange. And he's also now getting into China anime, the Chinese anime cartoons, which I remember my favorite cartoon as a kid was China anime. It was a cartoon from China. And
Space Rangers? Was that what it was called? Space something?
With the ship with the big gun?
Yeah, and at the end of the show, they'd say only 45 days left until whatever the end of the show was or something. But then they'd just start it over again, and sometimes they'd run them out of order. So they'd say only 45 days left, and then the next day you'd be watching, they'd say only 310 days left. You're like, wait, what happened? It was just 45 yesterday. Yeah, I remember that show. I forget what it was called.
I think it was called. Was it called Space Battleship? Because I'm looking at a picture of it here.
I don't know. It was a good show though. I remember that. Yeah, and it was
Star Blazers. Star Blazers. That's
yeah.
right. Oh man, I love Star.
That makes sense.
As a little kid, I loved Star Blazers. But and then Great Space Coaster. Well, that's really not a cartoon, is it?
Yeah, it was done. Star Blazers was done in the same way that like Speed Racer was done with that weird animation.
It was
where
Japanese.
Flash. It'd be like a still picture, and then they flash scenery in the background of it and stuff. It was really really cool though.
Yeah, I think that it was a Japanese animated series. And
You know what I used to do as a kid that I did not take with me once I met my wife, because my wife can't stand it. I used to listen to the radio all the time to fall asleep. I go back to first grade, second grade. In my room, I would listen to the radio all the time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that came to a screeching halt about 16 years ago. And my wife's like, I can't sleep with the radio on, but she sleeps with the TV on.
Yeah, that's.
It was like, well, how can you sleep with the TV on when you can't sleep with the radio on? You know, the radio's music. That's soothing. You know,
We used to do that.
Sleep.
And then once we could afford a TV, then we had two TVs. Then we bought a TV and put it in the room. And I got to tell you, since I moved into this new house, we decided not to put the TV up. It's in the room. It's sitting in the box. All I have to do is take it out and set it on top of the dresser. But we've decided, you know what, we like it. I mean, I feel like I'm sleeping so much better, because I would always wake up, usually because it would get really bright or something from the TV would make a noise, and you don't get that solid sleep that you get when you don't have anything going on.
I got to get back to radio. I got to get back to radio. I don't think she's going to be down.
You know what you need to get is, some smooth jazz. It's a little softer than yacht rock.
I'd be okay with that for sleeping music.
It's very relaxing.
I'm cool with that. For sleeping music, I'm okay with that.
What routines did you have as a kid that you're still doing today? If you want to admit, 805-543-3693. Are you still doing anything that you used to do as a kid?
93.3 KZOZ rocks the 805. Getting up to no good.
I mean, it's almost like a disability.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. 93.3 KZOZ rocks.
How soon from the time that you literally get out of your bed are you drinking coffee?
Immediately. So I have a cat.
I have a Keurig right next to my bed.
Seriously, like Michael Scott style, like with the George Foreman and the bacon and the foot. It is. So I have a cat that wakes me up because she has to let me know that it's time to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that's like, oh, cats are so great. No, they're not. She's like, meow, 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 right in my face. Like, fine. I'll get
Why don't you
up,
just
I'm
free
groggy.
feed her or whatever it's called? Would she eat too much if she did that?
No, because she has to eat wet food because she doesn't drink enough water.
Okay.
So she has to get her moisture from somewhere. Otherwise, it leads to bladder infections. This is what cats, all kinds of health problems, cats, right? Anyways. So I have to get the wet food for her, and if we free fed her the wet food, she would look like Garfield. So I have to feed her, and that's at like 4:15 in the morning, and then the coffee is already ran, and I go and I get the coffee, and I pour it before I even feed her. So I let her sit there, and it's the most annoying, running into the side of your leg, trying to trip you wherever you're going. And it's like, oh, shut it up.
Yet you're going to pour that cup of coffee first.
I will pour the cup of coffee because I don't want it to be piping. If I have to, if I have to feed her first, that's time wasted in letting the coffee cool down to a nice drinkable temperature.
Sure,
right?
I gotcha.
So it's the first thing I do. I pour the cup of coffee within 30 seconds of waking up.
And you drink it. New research says that it's better to wait an hour before you have your first cup of coffee, which...
Oh, God,
no.
no.
I'm like, research? Like, what is that? And then I read into this some more, and this is why I hate people on social media that call themselves influencers. A ton of influencers claim you'll get a bigger energy boost if you wait up to 90 minutes. But is it worth it? According to experts, only if you want to limit yourself to one cup of coffee. So if you're going to keep drinking coffee, it really doesn't matter. But if you're a one cup of coffee person because you're trying to do better and cut your coffee intake back, which I've never heard anything that really said coffee is bad for you. I mean, unless you drink an entire pot a day, maybe. But I've been doing that forever. And so they say your receptors in your brain, it takes an hour for them to kind of get going before the big caffeine boost comes in. But if you're going to drink that first cup of coffee and then you're going to drink that second cup of coffee, you might as well keep going. Plus, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm laying there, and I never used to be a snoozer. I used to get up right away, and you're like, no, I snooze, man, I snooze. And then I was like, well, I'm going to try that. And it's way better. So on my phone, which is now wakes me up, when I hit snooze, it gives me 9 minutes before the alarm starts to go off again. And in that 9 minutes, I kind of lay there, and then I hit snooze again, and then I have another 9 minutes. And usually about 5 minutes after the second snooze, I'm start thinking about coffee, and I'm rubbing the eyes, and then I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's get this. But I think I'm in a better mood, and I'm a better morning person because of the snooze. And they say you're not supposed to do that. But, man, when you just get up out of bed, you shock your system, and you go and you take a shower, sometimes you just can't get out of that funk.
See, I'm different. I need that. Like, I need Luna in my face going, because it's a shock to the system, and that's what gets me that jolt and gets me going. And yes, I'm a little groggy because I'm used to it because it's an every morning thing, even Saturdays and Sundays.
I think I would feed her kibble in the morning and have like a kibble machine that's set up on an alarm. Have you seen those on Amazon? And you hit it, you set the alarm, and it drops a little bit of kibble down just until I'm ready to get up, because
that might be a game changer. Like, there's certain things that you get in life that you didn't even know existed, and then somebody tells you about them, and then it
oh, you
like,
didn't know
wow,
about this? Yeah, they do it for dogs and cats, and you can set an alarm on it, and it's got a container that holds food, and it'll dispense food whenever and however often you want it to at whatever time you want. And at least that gave you an extra hour, because you don't need to get up at 4:18, right?
No, I don't. I mean, I could probably push it to 4:50, and be fine. But it's that it's sometime between 4:10 and 4:20.
Yeah, nothing pisses me off more than when I hear George get up, because he sleeps in our bed, and then he'll go down he's got little stairs that he goes down to get off the bed because it's up high, and I hear him get down, and I look over, and it's like 4:20 in the morning, 4:30. I'm like, are you serious? You couldn't wait another 30, 45 minutes? And for some reason, that'll piss me off just enough to get up and go. And then I'm like, oh, now you don't want me to take you potty because I'm pissed off. I'm like, just go. And I shut the door. I leave him out there, and I go over. And unlike you, we use the old school coffee pot. I have to, the Keurig's on, but I have to hit the button. And I wait till it to dispense, and then I go back and I let him in. And he's looking at me like, okay, you going to give me some food now? I go, no, you don't eat till 7. You know the rules. Get your ass back to bed.
Wow, that's good. It's good to have that fortitude. The dogs, I can do that with.
And my wife says I'm mean.
Me.
I'm like, I'm not mean. This is just how it is. You just give in to them all the time.
The cat, I can't do that. Actually, it happened last week one night. The cat was left outside by accident overnight, which never happens. But I woke up late because as a result of it. I was like, oh, wait, how come Luna hasn't woke me up? And I go to the back door and she's like, meh, meh, meh.
You forgot me, you loser. I hate you so much.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. 93.3 KZOZ rocks.
Have a good morning.